In this video, I am going to show you how to set your working directory and give you a quick introduction about R, which we're covering in the first day. First thing is when you open RStudio, you need to have two things before you open RStudio. One, you need to download R, and secondly, once you download R, you download RStudio, you open it. When you open it, you see you have four quadrants. Here is where you write your code, whether it's an R file, an R script, or an RMD file, the two files we'll learn in class. Here you can see your data. Here you can get your help packages. If we plot anything, you're going to see it here. And then this is the console. The console is where you write code that you want to do quick. So if you want to do just an operation, you can do it quickly, but also where you install packages. It's super important that you know that this is where you install packages. So let me go back to the notes. We did the introduction and I gave you the different pieces. The next thing is like how to install packages. So this is one example of a package we may want to install, which is installer. And I just copy and pasted the code. And if to run each line, you just simply click on the line and do Control Enter if you have a PC, or Command Enter. But you can also select the line and just click Run, either one. Then you would just select the entire piece or just place the cursor anywhere and then do the second part. That's installing something. You would say yes, please install again. And you see that it's like running in the background. But so those are just the first step was covering class. Then I gave you some tips how to use the help. You always want to use the help in the console. The help or the question mark should be used in the console, but to showcase how to use that, first I'm going to install a package. I already did it, but what you would do anytime you install a package, you do it in the console, you do quotations, and then I type AER. I'm not going to do that, it already did and it took some time, but you would install that package. R is case sensitive, the language, so make sure you follow. But once I have that, I want to tell R that I'm using that package, and to do that, I just run line 15. And then it's telling that it's loading other packages. But once that's done, I can then get the data, which is college distance. And I'm going to, for a second, let's say I'm here, and then I want to use the help. So I can ask R what college distance is. And what you see is that right here, it opened the documentation for that package for the college distance data set. I could do the same with other packages or other data sets. So empty cars is another one. I can do that. And then it shows a different set of data set here. We can also use help, college distance, and then you see that it does the same as the question mark. So just be familiar with both of them. Moving forward, we're gonna continue covering the installation of packages, which is a very important task. So anytime you're gonna write here, install packages, oh, sorry, I didn't do that right. Packages, and then you type whatever package you want to do. So I already have installed ggplot2, but you would then do enter and it would run. And again, that's step one that you only have to do once. But if you want to actually use the package, then you just have to run the line 15, which has the package. It says that we're going to be using that package within R. After we have call for college distance dataset that comes from the AER package, then we can inspect the data. We have two options to do that. To bring the data in, we would run line 17. It's already here. You have two options to look at your data. One of them is to just do head, which basically gives you the top rows of your data set. You run that and you see the output is below in the console. We get male, female, male, male, female, male, and then we have other for ethnicity, score, and so on. Another way of looking at this is just to double click on the data which we have within the top right quadrant. When we do that, we see the entire data set. This is one of the cool parts, that you can see the entire data. You can scroll through and then just be familiar with it. So the task 3 that I gave you in class is First of all, search for documentation that explains what each variable means, measures, and that's really easy to do. We can do help college distance or question mark college distance. We already did that earlier in this video. But if we go over here, we know what each variable means. So you have the explanation. Because this data set comes from a package, it has this information. If we bring the data set from an Excel file or another type of file, then we wouldn't have that. To set up the working directory, you want to do two things. First, you want to know where your working directory is. I'm not putting this in the R script simply because I am not going to do this every time. I just want to get it checked. I go to session, set working directory, choose directory. I am going to choose a different one than notes to show you the difference. I could, for example, go here and say, well, let's do ICAs. And I can say, let's do that here. You see that you get the output below that has the code. I would like you to copy that here and put it in your R script. You can use, if let's say I'm working on this and I want to save it in the notes, then I run set working directory notes. We can double check that is indeed that working directory. It matches. But let's say I don't. So if I don't, but I still want to keep that code, I can just put a hashtag in front of it, run the second line, line 13, and now it changed to ICAs. ICA is now my working directory. And then you see that it changed. Super critical that you know how to do this. When we get to RMD files, you're going to need to do that in a different way. So let me give you an example. These are the files that have an output either in HTML or a PDF. So to set the working directory with an RMD file, I basically copy and paste line 13 from another file that I had, but I made sure I copied the address to the folder where I want it to be. So I copy it by getting it through session and so on, like the different steps I just showed you. Session, set working directory, choose file directory. And then once that's output here, I copy the address and I insert it here within the quotations. It's important that you keep the quotations and it works. One thing to clarify, the backslashes, you need to make sure that forward backslashes are done differently in R. So if you want to use the other type, which is typically when you copy and paste from, let's say, the address within a folder, you need to do double if you're using that direction of the slash. Otherwise, you do just a single one as is shown below. Anyway, so one important thing after you do any kind of code is to save. So you're going to save as. I recommend that you always, if you're submitted something to me, which would be RMD files primarily. So I'm going to save this, if I was a student, I would put student name, and then followed by practice first day or something along the line so that you know. You save it and then you see that the title or the information for the file changes above. If you see that it has an asterisk, that means it hasn't been saved. You can save by going here or by knitting.